One has been posted, by the way. Yes. All right. So welcome. What we wanted to do was do a brief tour of Curriculog and leave time for answering some questions and support. And if we need to, we'll get back together with people too if they need additional help. So Crystal, you should see the Curriculog screen at this point.
Yes.
I think the key feature that I make sure everybody remembers is the fact that you really have to be logged in to take action. So where you see Mohammed on the screen at this point, you would have the word log in, which in your particular case, that you click, and then it's just a simple single sign-on standard for the campus with your Google email address and password, and then the phone business for the secondary authentication. So once you're logged in, then you can take action. It turns out that you could actually see everything, and that's part of the issue most have with Curriculog, that they can see everything, but then when they go to do things, they won't let them. So I am at this point under proposals, and the tab is the all proposals. If I scroll all the way down, I can switch to having the system show me up to 50 entries, and I think that was probably all I had under 50 proposals actually at this point. We have, each of us have this idea of my tasks versus my proposals. As you can see, I don't have any proposals at the moment, so that's empty. But at the same time, my task is pretty darn full, and these are not necessarily tasks that I have at the moment, but tasks that I've been involved in. So when you see the CTE 7 through 12 curriculum at this point on the screen, it means that at some point here, I had approved it as the associate provost. So it remains here until it's completely done, basically. And the other thing you know is that the thumbs up tell you that it's been approved at each of these levels, and that at this point, it's sitting with SUNY, it says. Now, the reality is I haven't yet sent this to SUNY because we're still waiting for the department to complete certain activities that they must before we submit. So it may seem a little deceiving, but the reality is that it's actually has concluded on-campus process. That's all that really means. These are curricular changes, and we have more of them. You can see we have the chemistry coming in, and it's somewhere in the middle with academic policies, council, and priorities and planning. We have a finance minor pretty much in the same spot. But we also have courses, like the poli-sci course was submitted to general education. So we build a form for the General Education Council so that people could propose their courses for various categories of gen ed. So it's not a new course, but a course being proposed for general education. As you can tell, the path is a lot simplified, right? I mean, it goes from whoever sends it to us, to the department chair, from there to Crystal Lawn, our gen ed director. And then the council sees it. Once they approve that, then the registrar can do the attributes or whatever else is needed in order for the course to count. So we don't have just forms that impact the college catalog. We have actually now forms that impact other contexts, and we're going to build more of them as we see fit. The workflow is really easy to follow, and it's designed based on roles that we have established in the system.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. With the American political movements, is that a new course entirely, or like it's a course that we have that we're adding into gen ed?
This one is, if it was a brand new course,
Okay.
it would have to be submitted to UCC, Undergraduate Curriculum Committee or Curriculum Council. So they would have to, in order for it to become a course, they would have to approve it if it was brand new.
Okay.
More often than not, when it comes to Gen Ed, it's not a brand new course. It's a course that has been updated to fit the outcomes necessary for a category of Gen Ed. So I would venture a guess that this is not brand new. But if it is brand new, that's okay. They have to submit to Gen Ed, as they have in this case, but they also have to submit to UCC, because in order for it to become a real course, it has to be approved by the Undergraduate Curriculum Council and reported out to Faculty Assembly. And then Tracy's group can then take that on, add it in the way we need it in the college catalog and in other contexts, in banner and so on, so students could register and et cetera, et cetera. So I would venture a guess that this is actually an already existing course and is now being submitted for Gen Ed approval. But if it wasn't, it would have to go two paths. It has to go to the Council for General Education, and it also has to go to the Council for Undergraduate Curriculum updates, which is really college catalog stuff that is controlled with that process.
Thank you.
All right. So one of the things I wanted to share had to do with this new proposal business. Often people come into a session such as this because they want to propose something. So I thought we spend a minute or two looking at how one does that and how does it work. So when you choose the new proposal, then you have a whole slew of options on what kind of form you need. So to give you an example, when I propose to update the number of transfer credits that can come from two-year schools, I use the form that I'm pointing to, right? I actually filled it out and said, this is what we need, why we need this change, and this is how it is going to affect our policies. So now students can have more than 60 credits from a transfer institution, two-year transfer institution, as long as they satisfy upper division requirements, major requirements, and so on. They're not going to lose those credits. Previously, if they had 67, they would lose 7, right? That's the way it was. So that change was very helpful to us. But as you can see, it went through the whole process. That policy went through the whole process, and at the end, it was approved by the president, and then we put it in the college calendar. Most people have things such as the graduate course prerequisite change, right? I mean, if you want to change the prerequisite of a course at the graduate level, this is the form you would use. If you want to change a graduate program, this is the form that you would use. So unlike a course, we're dealing with the whole program. So in your particular case, Crystal, we would need to visit the undergraduate program change. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. As you will see in a minute, we don't have to live with the outcome of this. We can just delete it after, so it's no big deal. But that's the form I want, because I want to change this theater, or at least propose a theater BA update. So I'm just going to click here to start a proposal, and then it does want me to tell it what program. So I think I can I'm safe enough to just say theater, or to locate the program.
Is it RE?
It is
I think
RE.
we use the archaic phone.
I go back and forth every time I try.
I know, it's,
All right, I stand corrected. And it's found it this time. So we do have a minor 2 in theater, but let's just assume I want to change the major. So I'm going to choose that, and if I click build a theater major button here, I'm going to start the proposal with all that information. So it usually takes a second. And it should know the things that we needed to know about your program, because what you see on the left side comes from the college catalog. And these are the courses in the curriculum, but the actual schema or the requirements for the degree are on in the view curriculum schema tab. So when you click that, you can see there's a 45 credit program, there's a whole bunch of core requirements and so on. All of that should be there coming over from the college catalog. The other point I will make is that you could just make updates here. I could just delete the 130, for example. Boom. I am actually now proposing an update to the proposal, to the theater BA, if I do. So again, this is not going to happen, right? I mean, I'm going to cancel this afterwards. I am sure 130 is a fantastic course, and we do not want to get rid of it. But it's that easy that I can actually do that. And if I click the preview curriculum, you can probably see that the 130 should not be gone.
And now there's room for Calc 3.
So we can add Calc 4, whatever Calc you want. It's just a bit of a hidden prerequisite issue, but that's besides the point. It doesn't seem to stop other faculty. So
That would
Okay.
affect their graduation rates. Just saying.
it might just affect the graduation rate for theater majors just as slightly. Probably, yeah, I would agree. So it's that easy to change, I guess, is the point. And then the other point will be that you can still attach, if you wanted to attach a side-by-side of what the old was and what the new was, you can do that too. And if there's enough change, the council's academic policies council and the Partisan Planning Council, they prefer to see, well, what are you actually changing? So I've shown them how they could figure out what's been changed, and it's pretty easy to read, but they still like the side-by-side. So that can be done by clicking the clip here and then uploading a Word file. So that can be done too. So I'm just going to go back to, I'm clicking this button. Do you see that, the steps of approval button? I am considered to be the originator. That's part of the way the system is designed to operate. The person who puts forward the proposal doesn't have to be anyone special. As long as they've been authenticated as a campus person, they can propose something. But you can see it first goes to Tracy, who is right here. She double checks to make sure, if you say, I want to drop this course from the curriculum and add this other course to it, that the other course actually exists before we even take a look at it by anyone else on campus. So, and Tracy is usually pretty quick about checking it. Some programs have a coordinator, theater does not. Theater, you are the person, right, from the institution's perspective, who will speak on behalf of the department. So that's why you're identified as department chair. So no proposal about theater will ever go forward to any councils without you saying yes to it. So this is the reason why that's so important to our campus, is that many of our departments act in various ways. Some departments, the directors or chairs are the ones that submit everything. In other cases, they have a curriculum committee and they are the one that will be submitting something. And this allows us to allow that. Now, if you're the originator, that means you're in here multiple times, right? Just to be clear. But that kind of keeps us safe, right? There is no way a program update is being proposed by some random person anywhere that you didn't know about, you didn't approve already. So when you're approving it, Crystal, you're approving it on behalf of your department. And then you can see these two things are not applicable because you're not in School of Ed and you're not in School of Business. If you were trying to update a program in one of those schools, believe me, these will be populated with the right people to review and approve. Jen Knapp is your dean. I am your associate provost, and you have the provost. And then eventually you will get to the councils that actually are responsible for oversight of this type of a curriculum change. Now, I am the originator, so it's coming back to me and may seem odd to you, but the councils decided they're not going to change anything in your curriculum. They will make you make changes in your curriculum, and then they will approve it again. But this time it's not the whole council's looking at it, just the chairs of those councils checking off the fact that you did what they asked you to do. Now, that was not my idea of a workflow, but this is what people want. So just so everybody knows, they shouldn't shoot me for the extra steps, but the extra steps are there because that's how people are more confident about the process working the right way for them. And you can imagine without a system like this, all kinds of funny things were happening, right? When you don't have a system that tracks these things, people would just go directly to a council without approval from anybody. And the council would say, well, does the provost see this? And then people would say, yeah, I asked the provost about it. Of course, provost never signed off, doesn't remember, knows nothing. So none of that can happen in this system, right? It's going to go from person to person based on the role, and they have to approve. And Liz Dunn-Schmidt is in here as the faculty assembly chair, and I'm not the president, but I act on behalf of the president. President's office has its own process of reviewing these things. At least under Deborah, she definitely didn't want to be in this thing. So Dr. Wosu may feel differently about it. If he does feel differently about it, we'll add him to the system. But at this point, there's a process that happens on the 7th floor of Calkin where he's blesses a program, and then I would go in and say, President approved on this date, and then I move it on. Some things have to go to SUNY, some things have to go to state ed, and they will if they need to. Otherwise, we just go ahead and change the catalog. Those steps can be eliminated if the proposal is such that it doesn't warrant submission to SUNY and state ed. So you have to change in a substantive way the theater program in order for us to need to send it. So for example, if the program did not have tracks and you want to add tracks, then guess what? It has to go to SUNY and state ed. You're changing the structure of the curriculum. You're not just changing the course here or there. I want to require 120, not the 130, or I want to require 120 and 130. It used to be you could take one or the other. These kinds of changes, as long as the campus is satisfied, they would just happen. We don't have to ask anyone for help. The number of credits that you need to change in order to require SUNY and state ed review is like 30 credits. So either you got to structurally change the program, or you need to really change the program by changing so many courses before it needs to go. So needless to say, unless people are adding tracks, dropping tracks, doing those types of moves, most of our program updates don't have to go to SUNY and state ed. What will have to go to SUNY and state ed are brand new programs, right? If you wanted to have a BA in acting, I'm just giving you an example. We would have to go through the whole process of building that out and getting it reviewed externally and submitted, announce it, et cetera, et cetera. It's a really big, long-winded process, but program updates often don't lead to that type of effort. So I'm just going to go ahead and, not that I did what I did, if I can figure out how to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and save all changes, not because that was necessary, but I am going to, just so that I can show you that I should not have a proposal, and I can just delete that proposal. So the point being made is I can start a proposal, but I'm not quite finished. I mean, there are other letters that I need to get from other departments because I'm changing some of the requirements that require support from other academic departments. So for example, you want to add some music courses to your program. Well, the music department has to write a letter that says you could use their courses for the completion of the theater BA. So that letter hasn't come in yet, but you can start the proposal, and once it comes in, then you can attach that, just like we attached the side-by-side. I showed you the section that allowed me to do that, and then I can launch the proposal. Once you launch the proposal, the workflow actually begins to work. So that's kind of a quick synopsis. I mean, you know, we spent like a whole year building this thing, so there's a lot more to it, but I think the idea is you sometimes need to look at proposals, right? As we initially did. Well, where is it? Who has it? Has it been approved? Whatever, all of that, when you click on a proposal, you can see. Even if you are not in the path of approval for it, you could see any proposal, the way we designed it. So if music is changing their program and somebody tells you, hey, music is adding a bunch of theater courses to their electives, you say, oh, wow, that's news to me. Well, you can definitely call whoever is chair now, or you could just go online and see, well, let me see what they propose, because it is available to you to see. We wanted it to be easy for everybody to see. So, you know, if you're wondering about a particular proposal, you can look at it. Doesn't mean you have the right to reject it or whatever necessarily, unless you're in the path for its approval. But you certainly can look at it and then bring to bear your opinion, right? You can tell people, I'm not sure why they're adding these 3 courses. We haven't taught 2 of them for 5 years. They make no sense to me, whatever. I mean, that probably will drive the decision-making process for a lot of people, including me, including Academic Policies Council. So we want that opinion to come forward if it's there. And all of our councils, including me or the provost, would probably not act on any curriculum update that affects other programs, right? So if indeed music added theater courses to their curriculum, they have to get a letter from you, or we won't even look at it, right? We will say, we're going to hold on to this until theater writes a letter, and then music would have to attach that to their proposal, and then we will look at it. So that's the way we have been operating. That's been our MO on campus for a number of years now, because the last thing I want to see happen is for our students, you know, come into theater, for example, and you have music courses in it, but music puts restrictions on their courses. Theater majors can't take it. Well, what sense does that make? We can't allow that. So those agreements, those letters of support, guarantee that people agree to make sure students make appropriate progress towards degree. We don't want to make constantly make program deviations for students because they can't take a course that another department, you know, is not allowing them to go into. So to circumvent that, people have to write a support letter, and that support letter carries a lot of weight for us, because now you have made a commitment to support this other program that requires your courses. So what are you trying to do, and how can we help with that? We have a good 5 minutes left.
I have a couple questions. So, for instance, back in the day, there was like an interpretation program or something. And so we offer a class that's still INT 120, and there isn't that department. So we wanted to change it to THT, but the course stays the same. So is that, I'm assuming that's somewhere in Curriculog?
Good question. I don't know. That's the typical thing we do. Tracy, you know anything about this idea?
So it sounds like it would be just a course prefix change. So it would be a course change proposal to the UCC committee.
Okay.
So you would look for the course change form, and you import the course from the catalog if it's currently an active course.
Okay.
And it will pull in the course description and the prereqs if there are any, and any other information that's existing in the current catalog. And then you just modify the proposal. So you will change INT to THT.
Okay.
And if you need to make any modifications to a department, which I don't think you would need to, you
Right.
could do so there as well. But
So
yes, undergraduate course change form.
I'm on it right now. You can see that, right?
Yep, I see it. Thank you.
So if I click on that,
I have to scroll up a little to find your search field.
yeah, that's something Tracy knows I never remember to do. INT or something.
INT. What was the number again, Crystal?
120,
We can't possibly have too many of those, right?
not many. And I think, yeah, only 120 is the one that, yeah,
And it's called storytelling.
correct. Yeah, that's if you know the cemetery show, that's the class that deals with that. And so we wanted to make it a THT 120.
All right, so
Ooh, but we can't make it 120 because we already have another 120, which is stagecraft. So we need a new number. Sorry.
yeah, you might need to change one of the
If you want to send me an email, if you want to look for specific numbers, I can look to see what is available,
Oh, good.
but there's not too many INT courses, so you can
Right.
kind of assume which ones are clear.
Okay.
So the form is on the left side, and you can see subject is INT, and the number is 120, and I think I can just delete that and put
Yep.
in.
Yeah, and then it should, yep,
Oh, that's easy enough. Okay,
and
great.
then just select theater from the list.
Ah, cool. Thank you.
And just pick theater, and I'm just gonna go wild and say maybe 121 and change whatever else you need to change and be done with it. And just for good measure, back to the story that I can probably just save all changes.
Save, and I want to make one point here for anybody else that might be listening, and that run impact report button at the top, for those of you that might need to revise other courses,
Mhm.
that will tell you where this course lives in any other major or minor that is currently in the catalog. So that will help the committees know if you're positively or negatively impacting another major or minor. And you can
Great.
select which catalog to search from, and
Ah, thank you.
So I just learned something, Crystal. So that was good. I don't think I've actually clicked that before. So of course it's looking for theater 121.
Mhm.
And apparently it's a prereq for theater 310
Yeah.
or
Yeah, there's a stage electronics and mechanics class that is theater 121. So
I'm glad you knew that, but now I know that. So
Everyone
that's been helpful to the rest of us, right? I mean, when
Right.
we're looking at curriculum and blessing that the update is okay, we are looking at these kinds of information to make that decision. So,
Okay.
so I'm gonna
Thank
close
you.
this window, and can I go ahead and save? Okay. Did you notice how I had to look at Tracy to make sure I'm doing the right thing? That's pretty normal for us.
Right.
And then I can just go ahead and delete that proposal.
Great.
So you can safely make your own proposal and submit that to UCC.
so Rameen, do you want to go to the My Tasks tab for a second, please?
Sure.
So for anyone that needs to approve their tasks or items, under this will be where you can either wholesale or individually the course proposals that are already in the list there. So there's a checkbox. So if you just check a box there, and if you were to scroll to the bottom, there's an approve, or you can say select all and approve all. So that's where you would approve them if you need to do that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing that, but
Nope.
but that's good to know. All right. Any other questions, Crystal?
Yes, sorry. So I guess I have a question about like best practices. So obviously there's these proposals are going to go past the department and the college. And so what advice do you have in terms of when we need to potentially explain things to non-arts folk who this comes across, the reasoning behind it? Like how in depth do we need to be, or how much pushback is there normally within that, or any advice for that?
Crystal is really smart, you know that. So here's my 2 cents.
Okay.
First and foremost, almost all of us, and I say almost because it's a university, so you can never have 100% consensus.
Sure.
We operate with the assumption that your curriculum.
Okay. Good.
So when you're changing, so I, as an example, I dropped a 130 or whatever from your curriculum,
Mhm.
and obviously you provide a brief rationale that that given the changes in theater, the course they need is this other one. That's the 130, the way it was designed, worked in the 1980s great, but it does no longer work.
Right.
We're not going to go research all theater programs to see if you're right. Because even if many of them still teach a course like 130, we're not trying to be everybody else. If you tell us that the right thing for our students to learn could be achieved in a different way, I think people are just going to take your word for it. The only time various people get involved has to do with a few different concepts. Number one, resources. So if you choose to add 3 more courses to the theater curriculum, as an example, meaning if it was 30-something credits, now it's 40-something credits, we are very interested to know how we're going to do this, especially if people tell us that it needs no additional resources. So, because, we assert that if you're here employed, you have a job, you have things that you're supposed to do. So we need to teach 3 more courses to our students. We really, really need to know how is that going to happen if everybody that is already in theater is teaching the load they're supposed to and are successful in delivering the curriculum. So first question is resources. Many people, when they write their proposals, Crystal, they tell us they don't need any new resources. But then you have to then ask, well, if you're adding stuff, you need to really explain how are we going to deliver that stuff. So if you add 3 courses, remember, these 3 courses at some point, they should all be taught. And sometimes they may have to be taught every semester. That's like 1 new person, right? So it's that important to us. That is, you got approval from your dean, you got approval from provost, that we know how to manage the resource additions with this change we're making. It's almost a non-issue, what I just said, if you're adding a course and dropping a course, right? It should be it's not always a zero-sum situation, but it's at least acceptable to understand it that way. Whereas if you're adding, it's really tough to explain it that, we don't need any new resources, we can just run the curriculum. Even if you were to say, we have these great adjuncts that each of them would teach a course, and if your dean and provost approve it, then at least we know how the resources are covered. They're covered by adjuncts in that situation.
Okay.
There are occasions where I recommend for faculty to ask for a new line if they want to do what they say they want to do. And I'm not saying it to make sure they don't get it. I'm saying it to say, in order to do it, that's what's needed. So why don't you look for approval for what you need, rather than just assume that it'll come at some point, and then now we can't deliver the curriculum. So the resources is a huge deal for us. But beyond that, what Academic Policies Council, for example, Crystal, cares deeply about is that whatever you say people have to do, the students have to do, is crystal clear, right? You don't have to wonder, well, I have to take one of these 3. Okay, that's not hard. But I have to take one of these 3, but one of them has to be one of these, and the other one has to be one of those, and the third one has to be one of these other things. Where is exactly my choice?
Gotcha. Okay.
If it's that complicated. So they end up telling you that you have to rewrite something that is not obvious, because then students, as you can imagine, will make very poor decisions about what they can and cannot do. And in BAs, for example, as you know, we have limits on how many people can do in a particular discipline, and any confusion that the catalog provides or DegreeWorks provides that causes it is we have to take ownership of that mistake. So APC cares deeply about the clarity of whatever it is you say you want to do. So if it's clear to you, and you have a few people read it and it's clear to them, chances are we're pretty good shape. But believe me, when you process 35, 40 proposals a year, they're not all clear. You read them and say, well, what does the kid have to do to finish this degree? And if people are asking that question, we're not going to let that go in the catalog. Because if we don't know, how is the 18-year-old supposed to figure out what the heck they're supposed to do? So that's usually the lens you should put on it. Is it readable at the 6th grade level on what it is people have to do? I'm not saying it needs to be at the 6th grade level to complete the curriculum. But what it is you have to do should be very clear and in plain language and obvious to everybody who looks at it, including the students' advisors and everybody else who need to know.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, I think we're good. And thank you for coming. I'm glad
Thanks
you
for having me.
came. You told me you were coming, so I was glad to see you.
Thank you.
All right, Crystal, take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
All right, so I'm going to stop recording. Are you sure you want to stop recording? Yes.